Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Cool.
I'm doing more work on our on the whole friend quest thing. So
Awesome.
It's coming along slowly. I'm just trying to remember, because I've always been sort of into like graphic design and stuff like that, and so like I'm starting to slowly remember like what I'm supposed to be doing to make something look good.
Yeah.
So like little tweaks here and there. So hopefully it'll come out looking good, and then we can stream more and play more games and have more fun. So
cool. Speaking of which, I wanted to mention I believe I mentioned in the last episode, I don't think I edited it out, but we are planning on doing another arcade stream.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing it the day after Thanksgiving this year. That is November 23rd.
All right. Also known as Black Friday.
Also known as Black Friday, correct.
Also known as Gabe's birthday. Hooray!
Maybe.
Should I not say that?
No, it's fine. Okay. I don't know why I'm acting sheepish in that regard. So it's going to be my birthday, and so I figured we could do another stream.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, don't know exactly what time yet, but we'll get you that. I guess we should probably get that info out pretty soon after this goes out, because it's going to be less than a week after this. So
yeah.
Friday the 23rd. We're going to be doing another stream. So I talked to Peter, who was there for the last one. He will be, he said he's interested in coming and helping out.
Right. So, Peter, who is a generic gamer on Twitch.
Yes. Yeah. He's got a great channel. He does a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. Like him and Becky do a lot of like, they play like Pokemon cards and stuff on there all the time. It's pretty good.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of Pokemon, I'm pretty sure by the time this comes out, Pokemon for the Switch will be out.
Oh, the Let's Go one. Yeah. Like I know a lot of people are like that's like upset because it's not the new one, but even though we've always known that the next in the core series is like we've known it's not going to come out until 2019.
Sure.
So people, it's that like missed opportunities thing that people get hung up on, where it's like, because you're working on this thing I don't like, you're not working on the thing I do like, therefore I hate you.
Right.
Like just let them do the thing. They're worried that they're gonna turn the main series into more casual, which like
I don't
series
think
hasn't been like that hardcore. Like I know you can get hardcore, like you can get really detailed in it, but like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to get in any Twitter wars here.
Sure. So I'm definitely gonna pick up. I'm definitely gonna get the Pokemon game, but I don't know what to expect from it. I haven't been following it too closely, so I'm sure I'll have a good time.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to tell everybody about. I don't know why I haven't mentioned this yet. But Justin from Crit Academy has been making a book that he's going to be selling, and I had a big part in making it happen as well.
Okay.
So on their show, every episode they have what are called Unearthed Tips and Tricks, or UTTs, that are, so every episode it's a character concept, it's an encounter concept, a monster variant, a magic item, a DM tip, and a player tip. And so every episode they do those. I think it took them a few episodes before they started the monster variants. But anyway, Justin wanted to, a while ago, he decided he wanted to compile a bunch of those into a book and then sell it on something like DM's Guild or whatever. I think he might, at the moment, I think he's thinking of doing a Kickstarter first.
Sure.
But anyway, in order to get this done, he hired me to basically like write it all out. So like they came up with all the stuff. It was on their podcast, and then I just kind of listened to it and then wrote it out in a format that, would be easily readable.
Right.
And so it looks like that book is about to be finished. Like it's they're still doing like some last minute tweaks on it, but I don't know how soon it's going to be available to purchase. And I don't know if we are doing a Kickstarter or if it's just going to go straight to DM's Guild or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But whenever it's up, I will definitely let all of our listeners know. But if this is the first you're hearing about it, I want you to get excited because I think it's a really good book. I had a lot of fun writing it. I'm sure they had a lot of fun actually coming up with all the tips and tricks and stuff. So, and also I looked, and Justin sent me like a PDF of the what it's looking like in the moment. And there's some really good artwork in there too.
Cool.
Looks really good. So
nice.
So I definitely, when that comes out, I definitely want everybody to go and check that out. I will mention it again before then, but it just occurred to me that like I've never never mentioned on the show before.
No,
I'm not sure why. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Do you know, like with the Kickstarter, if they're going to be like gunning for like hard copies and stuff, or?
That is a good question.
Yeah, like that might be like a stretch goal sort of thing, maybe.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll try to find out.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so you want to go ahead and get into this episode?
Sure.
Okay. I want you to imagine that it is the 80s and you have just made a bunch of money on the stock market.
Okay.
And so you're having a celebration party. Your business is booming. Everybody's, smoking cigars and
80s
lighting.
Party that we just call a party because it's the 80s.
Yep. There you go. And so while you're celebrating, you notice that one of the new members of the team comes over.
Uh-huh.
He's this real hotshot guy. His name is Ricky Fireball.
Ricky Fireball.
And he comes over. He's got his sunglasses on. He's inside. He's got his sunglasses on. He's got like that jacket with like the spiky shoulders and whatnot.
Right, popped collar,
all that. And he's about 30 feet tall. He's got red scales. And he looks down at you and he pulls his sunglasses down a little bit and he says, "Hey," and he points at you and he says, "Hey, you know who's going to the Dragon's Horde?"
Is it this guy?
This guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so today's magic item is actually a silly item. I will say there's a guy that's been posting on Reddit, but his username is BJ Hypes, and he's been making all of these. They're self-ascribed silly items. Mm-hmm. They're just like these magic items that are some sort of a goofy concept. I think I shared one of them on our Discord a little while ago, but this one that I have chosen to cover today is called the Ring of Finger Guns. Hey. It is a rare wondrous item, and the description is: you lock eyes with Todd from accounting. Between the two of you is the last cruller. It glistens with a sugary glaze.
Ooh.
Your fingers point forward and you raise your thumb. A moment passes. Todd reaches for the cruller. You drop your thumb and he's blasted across the room. You blow smoke from the tip of your finger. It didn't have to end this way, Todd. We could have shared that cruller. You take a bite. Delicious. Putting on the Ring of Finger Guns allows you to shoot one dart of a magic missile from your fingers, dealing 1d4 plus 1 force damage to a creature within 120 feet. You can shoot a magic dart as either an action or a bonus action.
Ooh.
The Ring of Finger Guns contains 3 charges for magic darts, and those charges are regained at midnight. However, it does have a caveat. You must make pew pew or similar gunshot noises for the Ring of Finger Guns to activate. So I guess it has a verbal component in
sure.
that regard.
That is actually interesting that it allows you to use it on either an action or a bonus action.
Yeah.
Because like certain things, like if it's a bonus action, you can't use it as an action. Like they're not interchangeable in 5th edition.
Correct.
So that's kind of neat that you can do it either way.
Yeah. I am kind of curious as to why they didn't have some sort of like in previous editions, you could always downgrade you could use your action to get extra movement. You could use your action for like in 4th edition to get like a minor action. You could move an action to a minor action to a move action, I think is what it was. In this edition, that is explicitly not the case.
Right, yeah.
And so I think it's interesting. It's probably part of the balance. They wanted some things to be only usable once per round and so on and so on. But I don't know. It's just interesting. But then this item specifies you can do it as either.
Right, yeah.
Which is interesting. Not many items, not many abilities. I don't think I've ever seen an ability that does that.
No, actually. Yeah. Yeah, so it's an odd thing, but like, yeah, like there'll be moments where like I want to use this other thing again. Like I want to use wanted to cast Healing Word, but do another thing that is a bonus action. You know, you can't do 2 bonus actions in a round.
In fact, if you were to the only way that I know of is to quicken something. However, when you quicken a spell, it has the limitation that you couldn't cast a quickened spell and like Fireball in the same round. Anytime you cast a spell that is a bonus action, whether it is naturally a bonus action or it is a quickened spell, the only other spells that you can cast are cantrips.
Oh, okay.
Essentially. So like you could cast a a quickened fireball and a firebolt, but you could not cast a quickened fireball and a magic missile because magic missile is not a cantrip.
Huh. Okay.
However, you can still get around that if you're a fighter, if you're part fighter, because you could use action surge, which would actually give you a second action.
Yeah. Man, yeah, to like just taking a couple levels of fighter, man.
Man, a couple levels of fighter is real good.
Yep.
So yeah, that's this item. It's real simple.
Right.
Just you
silly, but I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like you just, why not? Just
bang. Yeah, why not?
You know, it's magic missile. You're rarely gonna miss.
Sure.
Like,
yeah. So this guy, he made a whole bunch of these items. We haven't gotten any Dragon's Horde submissions in a little while, so I might do a bunch of this guy's items until we do.
Yeah. You've shown me a few of them. They're pretty good.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, that was the Ring of Finger Guns, and it was not submitted by anybody, but it was created by Reddit user BJ Hypes. So if anybody wanted to submit magic items for the Dragon's Horde, or questions for us to discuss, or stories for the funeral pyre, how would they get those to us?
They could send us an email at InterPartyConflict@gmail.com.
Yes. And before we go any further, we have a special giveaway this week.
So
we like to reward our listeners. So every week we give away a copy of Chapel on the Cliffs, courtesy of Goblinstone. It's a low-level 5th edition adventure. It's got some spooklies and some dooklies in there.
Spookles and dookles.
So it's a real good adventure. So we are giving away a copy of that. And Jeff, today, who is the winner?
Our winner this week is Dustin S.
Winner. Gobble. Yes, congratulations, Dustin S. You should be getting that within the next couple days. If you don't, let us know. And be sure to check your spam folder.
Right.
I guess. And of course, let Goblinstone know. Let them know what you thought of it so they can continue to make great products.
You know, I think there's something with Gmail where if there's too many spookles or dookles, it gets sent to the spam folder.
That's probably what it is.
So you probably want to check that. So.
Sure. Spam stands for spooky player adventure modules.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That's a true story.
That's exactly it. Not many people know that.
That's true. Yeah. So Jeff, if somebody wanted to enter this drawing, so they could be one of the people to win this every week, how would they do that?
They can send us an email at InterPartyConflict@gmail.com with Chapel on the Cliffs in the subject line.
That is correct. Now, I also want to mention to everybody that this episode is brought to you by our wonderful patrons.
Thank you.
Patreon is a online platform where you can pledge to give a certain amount of money to a content creator every month or every creation. We have it set up for every month.
Yeah.
So what that means is, like, you could say, I want to give $1 a month to us, and then you'll help make the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it.
Right.
So we've got outtakes on there. We've got bonus episodes for one of the higher tiers. We've got fantasy fiction that I write for everybody every month. We got a lot of stuff on there. As of this recording, a few days ago, I went and I put up a whole bunch of outtakes because I hadn't put up any outtakes in a couple weeks. And one of my friends at work, who is a patron of ours, he thought that like something horrible had happened because suddenly his phone just started blowing up with all these notifications. And it's just because he kept getting, he got like, I don't know, 10 notifications all within a couple minutes.
Oh, geez.
So, sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love to give out bonus content to our listeners. So yeah, if you want to become a patron, go and check us out at patreon.com/interpartyconflict.
Yeah.
We've got a few different tiers. There's some cool stuff for each tier. So check those out and see if anything looks good. And hey, if you can't or don't want to contribute monetarily, leave us a review.
Yeah. Leave us a review
on iTunes. We haven't gotten one of those in a while.
Right.
Those are a big deal. Those help make sure that other people can see us. And if not even that, if you don't like iTunes, because iTunes is awful, you could just tell a friend. Tell a friend, get us some more listeners.
Yeah, word of mouth.
The word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And then speaking of word of mouth, I think that all of you guys should go and check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy. Justin, Ian, and Brandon, they create new and reusable content for DMs and players alike. They cover cool topics every week. Also, they have guests on. Recently, they've had a few guests that are content creators from DM's Guild. So like, recommend a good product to them and see if they can get the creator on the show. Also check out D&D Character Lab. They're another great podcast. Garen and Dan create characters every week, fully fleshed out characters with abilities, classes, backgrounds, everything. And then they debate whose character is better. And if you're a patron of theirs, they have they make monsters and then have those monsters debate, whose monster is better as well. So those are pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So Crit Academy and D&D Character Lab, 2 great podcasts plus us. So check us all out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, hopefully you'll find some cool stuff. You want to go ahead and get into this episode?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Our first question comes from Alan Smithy on Reddit. And they ask, as a fellow player, how should I deal with other power gamers? So if you're in a group where one of the other players is a power gamer.
Yeah, because I can't remember if we have specifically covered it or not, but I'm sure it's come up where if you're the DM and there's a player that is a power gamer, how you can try to create a type of experience for both the people who are more interested in combat and as well as the players who are interested in exploration and role-playing. But this is if you're a player. If you're a player and there is another player in the group that is definitely a power gamer, what can you as a player do?
Right. So this kind of goes in with players who steal the spotlight and things like that. Only more in the combat side of things, more than likely.
Right.
Other than going the power gamer route yourself.
Yeah.
It can be kind of tricky because they can kind of steal the show as far as doing damage and running the combat and everything like that. But you could also, if you're willing, just kind of run with it and help him out even more.
Sure.
Use that to your advantage in the combat. So you can focus on everything else. Mm-hmm. You can try to focus on all the rest of the things finding traps or using diplomacy or exploring or puzzle solving or stuff like that. So try to be where he's min-maxing, you can go basically the opposite way.
Yeah.
Or if it's working, if the character that the power gamer has built is doing really well, you can try to assist it in some way by doing the help action and things like that.
Sure. Yeah, this is it's kind of a deceptively complicated question. I like it because there are a lot of things that come into this question and come into possible solutions to this question. Because I think that whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, a lot of players have the attitude of, I want to be the one that is doing the most damage. I want to be the one that is killing the most monsters. I want to be the one that is always succeeding on the most rolls. And if you have that mindset, it can be very frustrating when you aren't dealing the most damage, when you aren't killing the most monsters, when you aren't rolling the most successes.
Yeah.
So if another player is doing it better than you, I guess, in air quotes there, if another player is more focused on getting high numbers and succeeding on rolls and killing things, dealing damage and all that, if that is also something that you want, it can feel like you are kind of getting overshadowed.
Sure.
I think that a big part is to try and determine exactly what is your goal with the game. Is your goal to be the one dealing the most damage? If so, then, I guess you'll have to go in one direction. If your goal is just to have a good time in whatever form that takes, you don't necessarily have to do the same thing as if you were trying to deal a lot of damage. Because if you're trying to deal a lot of damage, you shouldn't try to stop someone else from also trying to do that. You might just want to read up on character builds and such so that you can also be joining in and, so that you can be, the two of you maybe can be rivals and to see who's doing the most damage or whatever. Yeah.
But like a Legolas and Gimli thing.
Exactly.
Counting the kills, that sort of thing.
Right. But if actually dealing the most damage isn't necessarily your goal, or if you are open to other things being your goal, I think that, like you were saying, Jeff, a lot of fun can be had from supplementing a power gamer rather than trying to overtake a power gamer.
Right.
So if there is a player in the group that there's just no way that I'm going to be able to beat them and there's no way I'm going to be able to do more damage than them in combat, you could make a character that is all about locking down the enemy so that they can't get away, and then that character can come in and kill them.
Right.
You could make a character that's all about healing to make sure that if, let's say, the DM is building encounters with the power gamer in mind, if that power gamer goes unconscious, the whole party's going to be screwed. So you can make a character that's all about trying to heal them or something.
Yeah.
I'm, of course, reminded of like MMOs. In MMORPGs or in, say, 4th edition D&D, each character had a different role. There were different things. It was possible to make like a fighter that was good at dealing damage, or a cleric that was good at being a tank or whatever. But generally speaking, each character had a role, and you stuck to that role as best as you could. And then presumably each of you, as long as you were fulfilling your role, you were contributing to the battle.
Yeah.
You may not be the striker that's dealing the killing blow or doing the most damage, but if you're the fighter who is making it so that the striker cannot be hit by the enemies because the striker's in the back shooting arrows and the enemy cannot physically get to them because you are telling them where they're allowed to stand.
Right.
That's a victory in and of itself. I loved playing 4th edition D&D being a fighter because I made it so that the cleric couldn't be hurt. I made it so that the striker was able to do all their damage without having to worry about getting singled out. So if you can change your expectations of the battle, if you can change your focus on trying to be useful rather than powerful,
right,
I think that can go a long way. Now, of course, not everybody is going to be easily suited to that sort of an expectation. Some people just have it in their minds that damage is what matters, the number of kills, etc., etc. So it might be, old habits are hard to break. So it might be hard to feel satisfied with a game when you're not the one dealing damage and so on.
Right.
But I think that first and foremost, when another player is doing something that they're having fun with that you aren't, you should try to determine exactly what is the problem, what is my goal, and so on. Because I've said in other episodes that like you shouldn't ever tell another player you need to play the game differently.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, if it's the DM has a bit more say in how the players should be acting. But I mean, a DM should never tell a player you're playing the game wrong. A DM's job is more to think about whether that player fits the group and so on. But as a player, you should never say to another player, you shouldn't ever try to change another player's play style. You can encourage them to try other things.
Right.
You can. Whether you should or not, I don't know. I think that's going to depend on the people. But the best thing you can do is say, okay, assume that what the other player is doing is that's just how it's always going to be. Find out, is there a way that you can fully enjoy the game while that's going on?
Yeah. If
the answer is no, maybe talk to the other player, maybe talk to the DM, something.
Right.
Then you've got some things that you can do. But if there is a way that you can change your goals so that you can still enjoy the game just as much while doing something different, I think that's the first thing you should try to do. So yeah, try and think about what sort of other things you can be doing in the game if you can focus on aiding, like you were saying. Heck, even just doing something like the help action, is could go a huge way.
Right. If that power gamer is a rogue, giving him advantage is gonna go a long way.
Absolutely.
Like if all you're doing is using your action to give them advantage, you're basically doing that sneak attack damage. That's in a way, you doing that damage because you've helped him gain those extra dice.
Right. And yeah, like there's lots of different character archetypes that are really about helping another person do their thing. And
a bard is great.
Oh my goodness, bards are so good.
Bards are, I think bards are like the MVPs of 5th edition.
Sure.
As far as I can tell,
they really, I mean, generally speaking, yeah, I feel like there are the fewest things that they're amazing at, but they are good at way more things than any other class.
It really plays into the jack of all trades thing.
Yeah. I find that when I'm playing in a game where like everybody does have a role and they're all doing that role in order to help each other or to help a specific person actually complete the job, I love that, because I feel like when everybody works as a team, then we all win. I know it sounds the corniest thing that I could possibly say, but
what works?
It's
teamwork.
There you go. So the first thing you should try to do is change your mindset. Try not to think of it as this player is doing the most damage and so on. Try to think of it as, well, the group is doing a lot of damage, and so let's help. Let's all do what we can to help that number increase, even if that means me not doing the damage and instead this other guy doing the most damage.
Yeah.
Now, I guess another way to read this is, let's say another player is a power gamer and the DM has started to change the game to be more powerful to accommodate it.
Right.
That can be a problem because now you're the one who barely took any combat skills, and now the game is revolving around combat, because otherwise how else are we supposed to challenge this guy who has like an 18 and everything? In that case, I think that is something that should be addressed outside a game. I think that if that's the case, in that particular case, I would say probably talk to the DM before you talk to the other player.
Yeah. Because
in that case, it is an issue where the DM is building the game a certain way that you as a player don't appreciate or aren't meshing with. So in that case, if you do feel that it is the DM who is building the game in a certain way, do talk to them. Say, hey, is there any way that you can incorporate more of the things that my character is good at? You know, it sucks when it has to come to that. So DMs out there, make sure that you try to incorporate all your characters, all your players' strengths rather than just one. I guess I would say talk to the DM in that case. One thing that I definitely have felt at times is there have been times where I've played with a player that was like all about the stats, all about the numbers and all that. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, but they're playing it wrong. Like they're enjoying the game wrong.
You're having too much fun. Stop it.
Right. I mean, that is something that happens. Like I said, I have experienced that distaste for a player that is a power gamer, that is like looking just at the numbers. But I want to urge everybody, try to get out of that mindset. Like immediately try to just push that mindset out of your mind. Another player's enjoyment is no more or less valid than your enjoyment.
Yeah.
Particularly their method of enjoyment. If they are enjoying it because of this one aspect, that doesn't mean that that's worse or less valid than your own enjoyment of a different aspect. I always get annoyed when people say like, you should role play ROLE, not role play ROLL.
Yeah.
Because like, well, why can't I role play?
Right. That's the mechanics of the game.
That's what the entire book is. The entire book is numbers.
Yeah.
Like if somebody is enjoying the numbers, if someone is enjoying the combat, if somebody is enjoying the stats, all the power to them, you know? I mean, it is only a problem when it starts encroaching on how the game is played and how other people are allowed to enjoy it. Like I said, when the DM starts tailoring the game for the most powerful player and then making it all about what they're good at, that's when it becomes a problem. But, you know, again, that's not necessarily, the player shouldn't feel bad for wanting to have a powerful character. It just might not be the right fit for everybody in the group. There may be times where you're in a group, you want to be all about role playing and everybody else wants to do combat. There may be times where you are the bad fit for the group. There have been groups where I've been in, where I've joined and played, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to make this character. It's going to have some cool role-playing stuff, some cool exploration stuff. I'm excited to see where this story goes. And then I get there, and then it's basically, okay, roll initiative. Oh, all right. You get attacked. Now attack back. All right, battle's over. Everybody roll initiative again. You know, I mean, some people, even some full groups, they play the game for the combat.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. It's just a question of whether you're a good fit. And when I was in those cases, I stuck with them for a couple sessions. In the end, I left because it just wasn't, that's not what I was looking for.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. And I can definitely be classified as a power gamer because I do like the numbers. I enjoy making a nice efficient build and using my actions efficiently and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I never want to do that because I want to be the best one there or whatever, like the best at this or the best at everything or that sort of thing. And then, you know, this is a good and bad thing. I like to make suggestions to other players and how they can more efficiently use their characters' stats and stuff like that.
Sure.
So so when I was when I was DMing for the last for our Roll20 game, like I like to make sure, like I like to ask the player, do you want to use your move action? Do you want to use your bonus action?
Sure.
You haven't used all your actions yet. Do you want to do that, or do you want to? Are you ending your turn? Because like I absolutely hate it when it's like, oh crap, I forgot I could have done this one. Like I literally could have saved the cleric or whatever if I just used my bonus action to attack that guy.
Sure.
Like then that's I hate when that happens. I mean, it happens, and like someone would argue that like that's sort of the randomness of. Like that's sort of how things go.
Sometimes you forget to use that ability, and sometimes someone dies because of it.
And that can be exciting and everything, but. I feel like there's so much, there's enough randomness in the game with the dice that you forgetting to use that ability is like, that's frustrating. And I mean, I guess so is rolling low. But
sure,
I mean,
sure.
That, that can't be
you might have attacked and then rolled low.
Right. Exactly. So exactly. So like, don't put that on top of the chance of rolling a 1.
Sure.
Use that ability because you have it. And your character is trained to use it, and in most cases would remember to do it. Maybe sometimes you're just going to forget. Sometimes you're going to forget you have that ring of finger guns that you could have used as a bonus action or an action.
Sure.
Like so I like power gaming because it's fun,
mm-hmm.
and because even if an encounter is supposed to be doable, sometimes the dice are against it, and you have to use every little thing you have.
Yeah.
So like I try not to be I power game, but I try not to be a bad power gamer, I guess.
Sure.
Try to like keep in mind that other people are also playing the game.
Yeah. I hate how the term power gamer and like min-maxer often are used as pejoratives.
Sure.
Like people say it as if like clearly this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
When it really isn't. Whether I am building a character to be used in combat or to be used in exploration or to be used in role playing, I'm going to try to be the best at whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
I am going to take penalties in places that maybe aren't going to affect me and then use them to put put bonuses into areas that I want to be good at.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, you want your character to shine in specific ways.
Absolutely,
so you build your character towards that.
I used to say, like back when we used to roll for stats, I used to say that I would rather have 1 18 and then all 3s than to have like all 14s.
Right.
I would rather have high highs and low lows than to be all down the middle, even if all down the middle is like slightly above average.
Yeah.
I don't want everything to be the same. People have asked many times, like, oh, what would you do if you had a character that had all 18s in every stat? I wouldn't want to play a character with all 18s in every stat. Because number one, I don't think there would be a whole lot of benefit to most of that, because most of the stuff's going to get unused. But also, like, that's boring to me. I don't want to just be really good. I want to also have some things I'm bad at.
Right.
So...
yeah, because like if you got 18s and everything, you're gonna have the same, you're gonna have the same skill checks as the person who's like, specifically made for that thing. Mm-hmm. Like it is more fun when there's a team and everybody's got their role and that sort of thing. Because it's like all right, Bard, you do the talking. I'll do the punching. That sort of thing. It makes it, you make a fun story out of it when everybody's involved.
Yeah, like. This is a DM. This is a tip for DMs rather than a tips for players, so it's not explicitly answering the question. But like again, I want to urge DMs to use everybody to play everybody's strengths and everybody's weaknesses. Mm-hmm. If there is a player that is very geared towards combat and a player that is very geared towards role playing, you should use both of those. But at the same time, there should be times where the role playing character is forced into combat, and there are times where the combat character is forced into role playing.
Yeah,
it's always the greatest thing when like the big dumb barbarian he has no choice but to like try and convince the prince to help them or whatever. Like
right.
that can lead to fun as well. So DMs try to use not only the strengths of all the players, but also the weaknesses. Mm. Anyway, in response to the question, as a player, how do I deal with other power gamers? First thing I would say is try and determine exactly what it is you think you need to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Determine whether it is an expectation of yours that you might be able to change. See if it is an issue that if you think that the DM is running the game in a way that it makes it more difficult for you, like it makes it easier for the power gamer at the expense of making it difficult for you.
Mm-hmm.
Try to determine if there's a way that you can change your expectations to be a helper rather than a doer.
Right.
You know what I mean? A person that buffs the fighter is in a way just as worthy of praise as the fighter.
Yeah. Because you're giving that fighter the opportunity to do more damage.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, in an indirect but kind of direct way, you are doing that extra damage.
Sure. Like, I mean, okay. The Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Stark is awesome.
Yeah.
Sure. Thor is awesome. Sure. Hawkeye's awesome too.
Right.
Black Widow's awesome too.
Right.
They aren't super powered, but they're still able to do things because they're part of the team. They do things that are more appropriate for them to do. And then, Thor and Captain America and all of them, they go off and do whatever the crap Captain America and Thor do. So try not to think of it as I'm trying to be really good, but someone else is better, and try to think of it as we're all a team and we're all trying to do as best as we can.
Somebody's got to be Hawkeye.
I guess.
So you just got to be the best Hawkeye you could be.
There you go. Be the best Hawkeye you can be. That is the response to how you should deal with power gamers. Be the best Hawkeye you can be.
Which, I mean, might just be going off and doing your own thing in a different group.
Maybe it means going in doing another movie where you break both your arms or whatever the heck. So you have to.
Oh, jeez.
So you're not able to be in Infinity War.
Oh, dang.
Anyway, I mean, I think that's probably the best advice.
Sure,
we can give.
Yeah. It is one of those things you're really just gonna have to feel it out and see how it affects you, and act accordingly.
Yeah, like again, I would hate if I was a player and someone was trying to tell me how I should be playing my character or how I should be making my character.
Yeah.
So try to find enjoyment elsewhere. Try to find enjoyment in whatever way you can. If you just can't, talk to the DM. If it is a matter of the DM building the encounters a certain way that is making it more difficult for you and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And, there may come a time where you realize like, this just isn't what, this isn't the group for me.
Sure.
Hopefully that is not the case, that it should be a last resort, but that may be the case.
Yeah.
And if it is, that's not a bad thing. Just what it is.
All right. Our next question comes from King J EXE. This was on Discord. When do you involve NPCs in combat?
Yeah. So my short answer is not often.
Sure. Sparingly,
because the thing about involving NPCs in combat is, as a DM, you're already essentially running a bunch of NPCs in combat. Yeah. So let me explain what I believe King J EXE is asking. Let's say the party is escorting a caravan or something across the countryside, and they get attacked.
Right.
And so the party of 4 or 5 adventurers are attacked by 5 or 6 bandits. Should the DM also include the merchant and the merchant's daughter and the horses? Should the DM involve all of those other things also in combat? Even if they are, like, let's say the merchant does have like a guard that follows him everywhere. Should you include all of those? How often do you include all of those, and so on? Generally speaking, I wouldn't, unless I had built the encounter around those NPCs being a part of the fight.
Right, yeah.
I probably wouldn't, because like I said, the DM is already running all the other monsters. And so you essentially are fighting with yourself.
Yeah.
It's very similar with anytime you have like a conversation between NPCs. Yeah. It's a little weird.
Yeah, it gets a little odd. It's hard to involve them because, like, if those NPCs are important to the forward momentum of the story,
sure,
something could go wrong and they might end up like, you might end up accidentally killing your player's quest giver,
Sure,
like you don't want to get them too involved. You kind of want them to keep them out of the way just in case you need them for something.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you could always hand wave it like, oh, that natural 20 followed by max damage knocked him unconscious instead of killed him.
Right, yeah.
You could, but better to just
leave them out of it.
Just leave them as like window dressing.
Right.
If you need to have part of the encounter describe what's happening to them, then go ahead and do that. Right. But like don't bother having them roll or anything like that unless you built the encounter around it.
Yeah. Use them, use them sparingly. Although I did think of something like if like a combat is going like extra long because of low rolls or something like that, like the merchant's wife sneaks up behind it with the frying pan and knocks it out. And
there you go.
And that just to end the combat because it's just been going on too long or something.
Sure.
Like, it could be like a, Deus Ex Machina thing. They just sort of show up and take down the last enemy in one blow, and then like they like, aha, I helped. They try to take all the glory, but make it like just make it a thing. I don't know.
One thing that definitely comes to mind in response to this question is our good friend Jay. He ran an Eberron campaign a long time ago, and in that campaign, one of the adventures involved us breaking this guy out of prison, who I believe his name was Darren.
That sounds right.
And I think in one of the very first, the first Dragon's Horde segment, we mentioned this because we broke him out of jail I had my decanter of endless apple juice, and I quote unquote accidentally said the command word, and it just started shooting everywhere. Anyway, this guy had a bunch of like gadgets and weird like combat stuff he could do, but I'm not blaming Jay for this, but Jay would often forget to incorporate him into combat because again, you're already dealing with so many monsters. It is a lot of work to also have to remember, oh, wait, there's that NPC. Shoot, what was it? What initiative did he go on? What actions does he have? So we would be going through an encounter. Jay would forget about Darren. So then what he would do is after a few rounds, he'd be like, oh, crap. He would grab some dice, roll a couple things. Okay, these guys are dead. So he wouldn't even really like play out what was happening. It was just like, oh, I forgot about Darren. Okay, 1d6 of the bad guys are just out of there.
Well, I think he had like, I think his class or something like that. I forget what he was, but he was disarming and tripping guys a lot.
Well, so he was a spoiler for that campaign. I mean, not like anybody else is going to be running this campaign, but he was actually a construct in disguise called a Nimblewright.
Right.
Which was in the 3rd edition Monster Manual too. It was like this construct that has these built-in rapiers in his arms.
That's right.
That anytime he hits someone, trips them and knocks them back or something, like pushes and trips them, I think.
Yeah.
And he also, Jay gave him like grappling hooks and all sorts of weird stuff.
Made him all Batman-y or something.
Right. So I mean, that is one thing that you could do that in earnest if that's what you wanted. Is just like, well, every 2 rounds, an enemy is killed or something.
Sure.
You could simplify it by just saying like every X number of rounds this happens.
Yeah. Use it as a way to kind of like keep the game moving because there are those combats that just drag on because of low rolls and things like that. So that's sort of like a soft timer, you know. It's it's going to keep things moving forward if if the players aren't focusing their fire. Sometimes when I see groups like spreading out their damage, it's like it's like I get it, but if you just focused your fire, you kill the guys faster. And there's one, like, it's better to kill everyone to focus on one guy so that one dies in one round. So that there's one less monster to do damage.
Sure.
It's in most cases going to be the better way to go. But
so you're saying have the NPCs either tell the players to focus on the single enemies, or have the NPCs also focus, like lead by example by focusing on one.
Yeah, like kind of use the NPC to sort of finish off an enemy. Like if you know an enemy is close to death,
sure.
Just kind of put them out of it. Like oh, it's like, okay, this thing's got like 2 hit points left, and they're gonna start fighting this other thing. Now, just have the NPC kill that one guy off.
Sure,
that's one less thing you got to worry about.
Yeah,
that's and that's one less thing they got to worry about. So
yeah, just one thing that I do want to say about using NPCs in combat at all is just remember the last thing you want to do is overshadow the players.
Yeah,
the players are the heroes of the story, unless the goal is to make the players feel inadequate.
Right.
Then you shouldn't. You should remember that like the players are there to do the cool stuff. So if a cool thing needs to be done, have one of the players do it instead of having an NPC do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You could have the NPC set up a cool thing for for another player.
Or I mean, like if the moment just really calls for like, oh no, the players are about to be beaten, and then the merchant's wife swings the frying pan.
Yeah.
That can be fine. That can work. But just in general, the last thing that you want is the last thing that anybody wants is for the DM to be trying to also be a player.
Right.
Like don't do that.
Yeah.
So if you're putting NPCs in your combat so that you too can feel like you are having fun being a part of the combat, you've got your priorities a little wrong.
Sure.
So try and work on that. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think that'll do it for our regular questions. But before we finish out today, we have our social media discussion questions.
Uh-huh.
And last week's social media discussion question was, what are some must-have accessories at your gaming table, such as dice towers, DM screens, soundboards, etc.? And we only got a few responses, but I think we got some good ones. What was that?
I was looking at Justin's.
Oh, sure. On Facebook, Dean says DM screen, dice tower. He said mine broke and it just didn't feel right till I got a new one. And a kick-ass cup of coffee are my go-to extras.
Sure.
So
yeah, stay caffeinated. Yeah, DM screens are very, very, very helpful.
Yeah, I've never really seen the point of dice towers. I guess I see the point. I think that they're just like kind of like a visual aid rather than
sure.
I don't think anybody normally would say that they are a necessity.
Right.
However, what Dean is saying is that like he had one and then it broke and then it just didn't feel right. I can understand that.
I kind of like it because it keeps everything. It keeps the action in the center. Like, cause you keep it in the center of the table. It keeps everybody focused in one spot. Everyone knows where the dice are going to be. Like you're not going to be rolling off the table. So like I feel like because it's there, I feel like you're going to be more focused on what you're going to do in your turn because you have sort of this thing that's there to remind you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's going to be your turn next. Like put dice in me.
Right. I guess I can see that.
So,
Justin says people, which can be tricky sometimes.
Yeah, that is essential.
That is essential. Although, if you're treating your players like accessories, maybe that's why you don't have any players. I'm just joking. Dan says all the usual stuff, but the two things I must have are my initiative tabs and music. Music because it makes everything better, and initiative tabs because we all already have too much to remember.
Right. Yeah. The when we played with Justin, yeah, he had the little character.
That is such a good idea. He had these little like 3x5 cards, I guess.
Yeah.
With each player's name on it. And then at the end of every encounter, he would have everybody roll for the next encounter's initiative.
Oh, right.
And then he would set up on his computer or DM screen or whatever, he would set those cards up in the order that they were going to be going.
Right.
So that anybody could just look at him and see what the order was.
Yeah.
And that's such a great idea.
It was a really, really nice way to keep track of it. And I was actually using it with the Roll20 thing. I just had them on like a little thing on my desk.
Sure.
So, and like it had like, there's like one side is like basically blank. So you can like write initiative or notes or something on it. And the other side is like a little like Cliff Notes version of the character sheet.
Right. Yeah.
So like you can just at a glance be like, oh, this person's passive perception is this, or this person has this many hit points, or their AC is this. So it makes it a whole lot easier. And that's why like a DM screen is nice because you can kind of like put them on the edge of the DM screen.
Yeah,
so like the characters, sheets are facing you, and like the initiative number is, facing the the players and stuff. So that's really good.
Yeah, any kind of initiative tracker, I think, is a very good idea for anybody. Steve says, I always prefer to have a dice tray. I have one for my table and a nice personal-sized wooden one from Wormwood when I DM.
Ooh.
Other than that, I like to have 3 complete sets of dice on hand. That usually covers all my DMing needs and my Ranger's rolls. Music is a must, but the most important thing is beer.
Your beer's tasty.
Yeah. I do like to have, I would say 2 or 3 sets, like full sets of dice, in case, like, especially color coded of different colors, so that if I do need to make like multiple rolls at the same time, I know which one is which.
Yeah. And just to have like an extra set on hand just in case somebody forgets theirs or, that sort of thing. So there's always dice at hand, so no one's going to ever be in need of it.
Yeah. Oh, and Mickey responded to Steve by saying, people, check. Dice, check. Character sheets, check. Beer, check. Let's do this.
He also posted a response, an answer to the question in GIF form, which is imagination.
Yes, it's SpongeBob doing the imagination rainbow thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, imagination I think is a pretty good accessory to have. Maybe the most necessary.
Yeah.
Anyway, Charlotte says dice mats.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, any kind of rolling surface I think is good.
Yeah. Keeps everything on the table.
Yeah. Joe says music is a must. It has a huge impact on the game and can be a narrative tool in its own right. A good dice tray and a nice set of metal dice. Nothing beats the feeling of rolling a metal D20.
Yeah, the heft of a metal dice is kind of nice and satisfying.
Yeah.
You have it in a tray that has like, it's not like the bottom isn't too soft. You can hear like the click click.
Sure.
Little extra feedback,
Yeah. And then we got just a couple on Reddit. Jay Vockler says dice tower or a dice tray. I hate chasing dice all around on the floor.
Yep. Yeah, that seems to be a pretty common one. Although, like, I don't think we've ever used a dice tray.
No, I mean, I don't mean to disparage anybody,
right.
But I roll my dice like an adult.
Sometimes they just get away from you.
Okay, sometimes they do get away from you, but I don't know. I've never. I guess maybe in my formative years learning to roll dice, I just they have less trajectory, I guess,
sure.
when I roll them.
I chuck them as hard as I can.
Sure. Yeah. So my friend Nick passed away several years ago. He was a great friend of mine. I got him into D&D a bunch of years ago. I don't know what it was, but like he would like barely move his hand when dropping the dice. His hand would move like maybe half an inch, but those dice would just rocket across the table. Those things they would have like escape velocity somehow. Anyway.
We have to wait for it to orbit to figure out what it rolled.
The people on the ISS gotta call us up with the
results.
The results. Reddit user CGA Wolf says, while I lately see some nice trays and towers getting posted all over the internet, I never really got the point other than it being a neat thing to put on the table. Do people really have a problem with not being able to keep their die rolls on the table? Okay. I feel him there. I feel him there. I do know some people do have trouble rolling, but also it is a nice thing to have on the table. I can understand that much. Anyway, he says, I've been playing for close to 30 years with dozens of players, and I've never seen this being an issue. Again, I'm with you. To answer the question, GM screen, mostly to hide notes I take or check marks / score lists from players. They also allow me to hide die rolls. However, since I don't fudge, I wouldn't mind rolling in the open, even if players could deduce stats of opponents that way. And I don't use a DM screen because I prefer the accountability of not being able to fudge anything. Mm-hmm. But whether you fudge or not, DM screens can be really good because they can, like you were saying, you can put things up on top of them.
Yeah, you put notes on them. Like they make the DM screens that have the things they have like basically like quick reference stuff printed on
anything you would quickly need to reference, it's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
But then CJ Wolf also said, we also use a sheet of plastic, an erasable marker, and pennies wrapped around in electrician's tape and marked with a unique icon for each player, like a bow for the Wood Elf Ranger for mapping and position. We usually do without, but it helps times to clear up positioning. So I'm guessing that's as a replacement for miniatures, or just a cheap, a cheap stand-in for miniatures.
Sure.
If you don't feel like buying miniatures or painting them or whatever, anything that gives a good indication of the characters is just fine.
Yeah.
They might even. It almost sounds like they do theater of the mind, but sometimes they do need like positioning.
Sure.
Which, hey, yeah, that's a great solution to that. On Twitter, we just got one response. Collins Turkey says, it's not physical, but D&D Beyond has helped my game immensely.
Sure, yeah. Having being able to look this stuff up just by typing in like a search bar. Sometimes that's a lot easier.
Yeah. And then on Discord, Adam says, soundboards are a must at my table. It really has helped set the tone and mood, and dice trays as it prevents arguments if it falls from the table or in the groove of a book. I just have a flat rule at any game that I'm running. If it isn't on the table, like if it falls off the table, it's not valid. I don't care if it was a 1, I don't care if it was a 20.
Right.
It has to roll on the table.
Yeah. And that gets people to learn to roll on the dang table.
Sure, exactly.
Dude, I like Masons, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mason says, laser pointer, dry erase markers, and my ukulele. I don't know what purpose the ukulele serves other than out-of-game entertainment.
Right.
But I never thought to use a laser pointer. I think, especially with a big table or like a big mat.
Right.
That could be really useful.
Yeah, that could be helpful for sure.
Yeah.
Like especially if you're somebody who uses big mat or uses a DM screen, so you're not going to be able to reach as far. You can't be like diving over the table or anything like that. Yeah. So having a laser pointer would be nice. Yeah.
And then if your pet gets up on the table, you can easily chase them away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you might have some trouble with cats. I don't know.
Sure. Peace Pancake says, a stack of paper, pencils, and erasers were a bit minimalistic in that respect, I guess. A soundboard would be nice, but it would require a lot of prep. Yeah. And yes, I definitely agree. Some people just have ones that are already preloaded with whatever they need. But
they get one of those fancy ones where you can like record stuff and play it. But like if you're playing a Kenku.
Sure. I don't think I mentioned when you talked about the game that we did, I was playing a Kenku, and what I would do was every time someone said something in character, I would write it down. And then I tried to have all of my responses be made up of quotes from earlier in the session.
Yeah, he was doing a really good job.
It was a lot of fun.
And it took me a minute to realize that you were keeping track, you were writing things down, and I was like, okay, I know what he's doing now.
Yep,
I got you.
Preston Penguin R says, battle map, DM screens, and snacks. Always good. And Damien from Adventures in Aurelia says, if we make live streaming a regular thing, laser pointers will be a must.
Yeah.
So definitely laser pointers are definitely a thing I should start looking into for gaming.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So that was the social media discussion question for last week. The question for this week is, what is the fastest that you left a gaming group and why?
Oh.
I don't know, Jeff, if you have much experience leaving a gaming group for whatever reason.
No, yeah. There's never been any reason I've like left a group.
You're like, well, I was there for 4 or 5 years, and then we all moved away.
Right. I mean, like, there's been times where I because of like scheduling, I had to stop coming or something like that. But like, it's usually like several sessions in that something like that had happened. So like, and I've never like chosen to be like, I am not going to this group anymore. Like, I've never done that.
I've done that a few times. Not in a while, but I mean, like I said, there have been a couple that I left because the group just wanted something different than me. But I think the most recent of those was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But I do remember there was one game that Jay and I both played in a long time ago when I had just started college, and I was in a class with a couple guys that they said that they'd been playing D&D for a while. I guess like one of their dads was their DM for a long time. And they would talk up how like, oh yeah, man, our games are so great. There's so much role playing, so much fun. But our DM, this kid's dad, like he got a new job or whatever. So they didn't have time for it anymore. And I was like, oh man, I like DMing. Shoot. Yeah. Let's play a game together. So I came over to their place. I brought Jay with me, and I was going to be running the Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil, the third edition module. And, I started the session, and it was about as bad as I could have expected. Like they had been going on about like how much role playing they did and so on and so on. When the session started, they essentially were like, not in these exact words, but they were like, okay, who do we fight? Like, who do we go kill? And, they did not engage in role playing at all. They didn't talk to any NPCs except to find out where the dungeon was. When they got to the dungeon and there were some monsters, they jumped right into combat, and they were all very, very min-maxed, which I wasn't expecting, so I didn't accommodate for it.
Right.
And so they like one-shotted everything. And then when they went back to town, they just started attacking NPCs. And like...
Oh no.
halfway through the session, I had to be like, all right, I think I want to start this over, guys. Does that sound good? And they were like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Because like this was not at all what I was expecting. And so we sort of took a little break, and Jay and I went outside, and we were like, I was like, Jay, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know what they were expecting, but it surely was not what they made me think they were expecting.
Right. Yeah.
And I think I might have like made up some reason that I had to leave, and we just never went back.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that was like after the class that I had with those guys ended. So like I never even saw them again. And I feel kind of bad about it. I feel like I should have been more open and maybe asked them what it was that they were expecting. But
right.
It just, they've been going on about like how much role playing they do and so on. And then they just attacked everything.
But it was role playing.
Well, okay. You got me there. So yeah, so that was about half a session, maybe like 3 hours. I was like, I can't do this.
It's like, well, yeah, I got a thing I have to go to my dentist doctor.
My planet needs me. Anyway, so that's my answer.
Sure.
Yeah, if any of our listeners have any stories about that, if they're long, I may not include all of them, but you know, yeah, hopefully we can get some interesting responses from that. All right, well, I think that'll do it for our questions for today. But before we close out, I think that we should let's lay back, let's relax, let's take a deep breath.
Oh man, now you're making me yawn.
As we toss another log onto the funeral pyre. This week's funeral pyre was submitted by Reddit user Jimbo Spicy.
Ooh.
And it reads as follows. Surrounded by hellhounds, an old man fights to buy time for his fleeing friends. His mind had slipped away from him in his age, forgetting his family and self. But here, in battle, he was back. Among the whirlwind of violence, the hound's master, seductive and demonic, stole his gaze. Powerful magic that had controlled kingdoms assaulted his mind and tried to take him over. But he only screamed, slamming his fist into her nose. "Heroes never die," he shouted, before being ripped to shreds.
Oh.
So, well. Yeah, a very, very heroic end.
Sure, yeah.
I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff, let's raise a glass in memory of this aged hero who did not ask for mercy.
Clink.
It's a little joke there.
Right.
Because heroes never die is in Overwatch, the character Mercy.
That's what she says when she
that's what she said. Yeah. Yeah. She says heroes never die when she uses her ultimate. Anyway. So that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items of the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the funeral pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/interpartyconflict, our subreddit at reddit.com/r/interpartyconflict, on Twitter at InPartyConflict, or on our Interparty Discord for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/interpartyconflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is a YouTube channel where we play video games, and we're also on Twitch. So come watch us play games online.
Yes, and we're going to be doing an arcade stream on November 23rd, the day after Thanksgiving. So be sure to check that out. We'll post about it on social media, but it'll be on the Twitch channel, correct?
Yep. So it's twitch.tv/FriendQuestStream.
Awesome. And speaking of arcade games, you can check out my little side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. If you submit your childhood memories of going to the arcade to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com, and you can find it on iTunes or SoundCloud under Arcade Memories Podcast. Also, head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show. What you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hackers RPG. So, Jeff, until next time.
Hey!
Hey!